It's probably, I don't mind speaking about it because it probably gives you guys, it gives you an idea of what other people are out there, how they see Earth, right? I mean, it's one thing to be into the almost the I want to call it the mantra of living in earthen, right? You guys are doing that. Every day that you do this, you get deeper into that. You're locked in deeper and deeper. And it's a whole other thing to hear somebody come and talk about it kind of from economic slash, you know, looking at it into the future and how, the problems we face and all that. And so I think it's good to spread that kind of understanding of both the potential and the realization of it, but also the pitfalls of keeping this going. As much as we love it, would we want to see this be the last Adobe ever built? No, that's why you guys are here, because you want this to be the first Adobe you've built. If I'm not mistaken, and I bet I'm not, this, what you've taken on and what Ernesto has shown, and John doing his thing, and all these other folks that are very knowledgeable on earth and building, we're not getting younger. We need, you guys are like it or not, you're among the younger crew that's doing this. Just saying, it's and we need that knowledge to keep going. And part of it is an understanding of what do you face with this. What are the challenges that you face, but what are the rewards that are potential. So you're seeing the rewards right now, and without a lot of the pitfalls of it. And so it's good to get that side of the understanding before you move into wrestling with all the problems. I started out by wrestling with problems, and it took me a while to go, God, this stuff is a pain in the ass, to being, oh my God, this stuff is gold. It looks like dirt, but it is gold.
It is dirt. And it is gold.
I sat in I did high tech.
Oh yeah, we have what's his name, Khalili? Well, he was saying that Earth turns to gold in the hands of the wise.
That's a sure.
Yeah.
John, several of these people are living in Adobe buildings now,
So
they may
So
understand
you
some of
got
the
it,
pitfalls.
Yeah. Well, I'm not living in it because we just demolished. We did a lot of demo and it's a mess. But
If I might,
but not just on the interior.
yeah, well,
You didn't
yes.
demolish
No.
the walls.
It's a old church, and it's just like they covered it. They tried to make it not Adobe. It's like layers and layers of stuff that need to be removed, and that's drying out
But
Adobe.
beautiful stuff. She has exposed Vigo.
oh, so that's buried treasure, right? Is what that
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, it's been an excavation.
Yeah.
So, enough about all that other stuff. So, you all doing this program, right? And here at the college, what would be if when I write this story for the Earthbuilders Guild, and I want, it gets out to like 400 or 500 people, what would you want the message to be about this program? Anyone?
Well, just what an amazing opportunity it has been. I didn't think that I was going to be able to take the class because it was going to cost a lot of money. And I just decided to show up and see what was happening, and I just feel like it's been such an opportunity. I had met Jake before, because before I bought my place, I had him come and take a look at it, and it's just been such an amazing opportunity to work with Ernesto and Jake, as teachers, so. I'm a artist, and I've always worked alone, and it's just been like amazing to like work as a team. It's like I've never really had that experience before. It's been so special.
That recalls to me something at the last. So there's a couple things coming up next year. Is at Earth USA in Santa Fe. I urge you all to go. It's kind of, it's not terribly pricey. but it's wonderful. You see
Are there
people.
scholars?
There are, of sorts, through Adobe like Adobe in Action has some stuff, but the Earthbuilders Guild, I people can get nominated for that. We're hoping to get 2 to 3 slots and be able to help, but it would be going to. I should be kind of careful about saying that. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying keep in contact with the Earthbuilders Guild with us, but also with Adobe in Action. It can be expensive, but it is kind of mind altering to be around people from all over the world and see how they see earthing. It is different from how we see earthing, and when all is said and done, it's earthing. It's earthing, but other people see it as that are not in this country. We see it as you like the way you all see it a certain way. Multimillionaires see it a different way. They want just an earth and home and are willing to pay whatever it takes to get it. Other people out there, you guys see it as a means to an end for living in the kind of home you want to live in, and it's attainable because you're learning it. Other people see it as life saving. They're out there and they see this as the way to be able to have a safe home. And they're looking at large scale construction, multiple homes. Everybody in the community jumps in, builds this one. Everybody in the community jumps in and builds the next one. And it recalled to me when you were saying that at two Earth USAs ago, I think it was Mark. What's Mark's last name? The architect. Mark.
I was gonna say Dente, but that's Anthony.
That's Anthony. But he's in Santa Fe. Mark Challam. He's an architect there, and he's been an earther for decades and decades. Beautiful structures. He had pictures of back in the 70s of building things, and there'd be a crew of like 30 people out there, and everybody's bare shirt and out there getting dirty and doing stuff, and it was beautiful to see that team effort on that, and that is something that Earthen, I think, brings that few other things bring, because when you do stick frame, like you guys bought these trusses, they were already made. You buy the walls, they're already made. You're building a cookie cutter, a home, and it's really more about people just getting there and throwing them up, bam, 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 nails and stuff like that. We've moved past house raising. Now, the only form of house raising that we still has available to us is earthing. For that type of crew to get together to do this stuff, it gives you a real sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, and it feels.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that her friend and Mark, they bought the house. You bought about the same time, huh? You and Mark about the same time.
He
You
bought it a couple of years earlier.
Oh, earlier than you. But after he took off the walls and all the stuff that.
Oh wow!
She's got a similar house, so she's taking down the Vegas.
Yeah.
Once you take all that crap off,
Yep.
that's what you get.
People
Couldn't have said it better myself. Take all that crap on.
Yeah.
I think for what you were saying too, for the
Oh,
write-up,
disappeared.
because like how those guys are doing on Poake, that's kind of like what we're doing with Abuela's Medicina, right? It's about reconnecting with the Mother Earth,
Yes.
reconnecting with our ancestral ways, healing, because it's like he was saying, the microbiology of the healing of the earth with the electromagnetic frequencies, the immunity that you build when the earth is under your nails. And so my background was in a really bad accident, and this is helping me rebuild my life one brick at a time, and paying that knowledge forward to keep the preservation alive of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's, for me, it's not just physical, it's spiritual, energetical, all involved healing.
Yeah.
And I know that like Ernesto was teaching us, this was like a startup house, and then when the family built grew bigger, you added the rooms.
Yes.
You know, I know on the traditional ones, the roofs are flat, but then you're teaching your grandchildren how to fix the
To
roof.
buy before.
And I ran into a couple people who inherited their grandmother's house, and they have like holes in the wall and stuff, and they're asking me, how do I do that and fix it? So they're getting into learning how to preserve their own ancestors, you know, legacies.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good thing.
I,
I
yeah,
feel like
that's one.
Expanding,
That's a
expanding
note,
on
please.
that, I'm coming from the border and I grew up in a little pueblito called La Union. And it's an old little pueblito. And you walk in and there's a mercantile road
Oh,
and there's these two very beautiful buildings that aren't in shambles, but they say pool hall and they're encalados. And so as a kid, I remember seeing them and being like, who's gonna fix that? And I would like to be part of that. And so, you know, being a kid, I just always would imagine what the town used to look like what it used to, what the pool hall really meant for the pueblo and what the structures meant and how they were made from earth. And so I was just always very fascinated with history. And through research and just paying attention, those were old traditions. They're old traditions of community building. And so, in a way, for me at least, I've been working in historical preservation with Pat Taylor, which is an amazing maestro for this type of thought process and the relationship between just material, like the relationship between the material that we're using to restore the buildings and their relationship together. It's just thinking about how do we take back these traditions and restore the way that we used to build community with each other through helping each other build our homes and knowing how to fix our homes and create conversation and stability within each other, no? Because it's just like, you know, I was thinking a lot about what happened in California, what happened here, these fires that threw everything off, and then people were so disconnected from these traditional ways of fixing our own homes collectively. And what happens? You gotta wait till FEMA comes and decides whether they're gonna give you money or not. You know, I mean, it's like, how do we? So for me, this class has been a restorative practice, and I feel that it's a responsibility to go back home and share this information. And and I'm really lucky that at least in the restorative process, in the restorative work that I've been doing, there's a few 20-year-olds, and that really, I'm like, let's do this, let's build, you know, and they're femme presenting people. So I'm starting to see a lot more femme presenting people in the trade of adobe work and construction. And I mean, the class is mainly femme presenting people. So that's
it's a huge, and it's something that I've taken note of in a way, because it's in a lot of ways an understanding that there's a connection between what you're living in and the way I think of it, Mother Earth is different, because like the hyper insulated plastic homes and stuff, that whole goal is to isolate you from that, to remove you from it. Mm-hmm. And here it's exactly the opposite. The goal is to connect to it. Mm-hmm. And so I think, Beth's heard this for years and years. This world won't be better until women run it. I'm just saying. That's my own belief. You know, it's a bit old.
Depends on the one. Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, but it's just my own, dated opinion, but women tend to fight about things that make more sense than the things men fight about. Just saying. But in that regard, though, there's a realization, I think, that having that perspective, I want to say, really influencing this industry, I think personally can only be good. It's positive for it. I was kind of blown away. When we set up our own manufacturing down there, never really thought, it's heavy work. Okay, it's going to be guys doing it and all that stuff. And we've got them presenting. They are absolutely in there doing every bit, driving Bobcat, toting blocks, running machines without a moment's hesitation or a moment's fear. And it's kind of like altering my head space a bit in a good way. And so, I think a lot of that attitude comes about because it's been a male-dominated space for many years, like for the last 40 or 50 years, construction in general. And now there's things that are opening up and allowing more, and I like that term, femme presenting. Is that what you call it? Like, yeah. And it's amazing because it's doable. You're proving it that it's doable. And I think it adds a personification to a structure like this that doesn't come about when it's just viewed as something to throw up. Just throw it up there. Just do it. I find it interesting down in Albuquerque. There's a young couple, part of our board, Kenny and Esther, and it is their homes. Kenny is the craftsman, Esther is the artisan, and the combination of the two makes homes that are just stunning. They're simple, but they're stunning, and it's something about seeing it as this place that represents more than just a structure. This is more than just a structure. You can feel it. You sit in here. It's like it's almost emotional in a way. That doesn't come about. What's that?
It is emotional.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely
There's so much love that comes into these walls. And
Yep.
even when you speak to certain indigenous people
What's the dog?
who will not allow people to work on on an adobe structure unless they're in a positive mood. They get sent home. So,
Yeah.
that's
It stays in there. All
It
the
does.
time.
it breathes.
Added energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no other form. You can't build a stick frame and say that, not with a straight face. It's like, no. It's, so thanks, yeah, for seeing it that way. Next.
I'd like to punctuate a couple things that you said. I'm going to draw on a lifelong experience as a builder. Was raised in a family of builders and craftsmen. And in our initial earliest phase and experience with building was all adobe. My parents were really poor. We had a big family. Basically bought a little rundown adobe, rehab it, live in it a few years. And that happened a series of times thereafter, which really set the stage for me to become a professional builder, and doing so at a very, very young age. When I did that, I started firstly with what I already knew, logically. But then I saw as Santa Fe was developing and getting bigger, and there's all these big $1 million plus homes, like, oh, that's the direction to go make money. And so I pursued that for a little while. And I found very quickly there was this disconnect that occurred within the people I was surrounded by who were building these projects. In this high-end conventional build market, it felt very transient. It felt very transactional. It felt like I don't know that I could rely on that person the way I had otherwise known. You know, our crews otherwise, we did the floors, we did the walls, we did everything within the space. And there's a type of camaraderie there that I immediately recognized was missing in conventional build. So I began to sort of back away from that. Like, well, that's one way, but it's not a way that really speaks to me. And because I do, and I said this a minute ago, I said, you know, there's embedded energy that is left behind in all things that we do, all transactions or expressions that we have, there's that embedded energy. And I felt like that's pretty important, that energy that's left behind is good energy. So hearing that, I think it was you that had said that there's Native communities sometimes that will be like, hey, if you're in a bad mood, if you're disjointed today, you should just not participate. I absolutely do the same thing with my crews. We do everything in-house, everything, for the exception of our life. And I have seen over the years a direct correlation with the harmony and the success of a project when we adhere to those basic principles. When we're supportive, when we're open, when we're in commune with one another. These things sound a bit woo-woo, but I don't think that they're even slightly woo-woo. They may not sound woo-woo to this group of people, right? But I've spoke to many hundreds and hundreds of people who are not this group, who do not embody this way of thinking and living. And to them often it's woo-woo until they come experience it.
Right.
And then there's no more woo-woo for them. They absolutely get it. So I think what I'm drawing on is there's this direct correlation between community, camaraderie, this collective effort, and that transcends building.
Mm-hmm.
We clean our acequias today in a very siloed manner. That didn't used to be the case. We used to be a community that we'd all push in and we're all helping. We used to harvest that way,
There's
right?
a Sikia song.
Exactly.
The corridos. Yeah.
Exactly. So I can look at many examples that are outside of building. Here we're talking about building, but farming and harvesting, caring for our communities, whether that's our acequias or whatever it is, when that's done through the collective power of community, it is enormously powerful. Whether they're men, women, children, I've seen, and no exaggeration, 5 and 6 year old kids wandering around personal job sites, personal people's homes, being highly effective. Highly effective. Not just picking up trash, not just sweeping the floor, but it's almost like a Montessori kind of experience without the Montessori backdrop and context. And it prepares, I think, all of us for the ability to go into life fearless, to see a thing that we're not familiar with, but know that we can do it, know that we can draw on some other experiences that empowers us to be effective. And I think that these experiences, these principles have been incredibly inspiring to me to keep learning. I've never been satisfied as much as I know that I know. I'm so turned on by all the stuff that I get to keep learning. And I'm even more turned on by being able to pass that knowledge. As a young kid, I was just in awe at how much some of my uncles knew, how much my dad knew. It was like, my dad could build trasteros, he could build cars. Ocha, I heard you saying that your family was involved in sprint cars. So my dad was a builder, but he built sprint car engines for Lanton's Automotive. So I mean, this is a cross-section of talent that somebody can say, gosh, I can do all kinds of stuff. And I was in awe of how fearless these people in my life were.
And also watching them age gracefully in their work. And so
Totally.
it gives you a perspective. Like my dad's 82 right now. Jumping off trucks,
Oh, yeah.
podando árboles, climbing he fixes his own air conditioner. And I'm like, I'm 41 now, and I decided I want to do this because I want to age like my dad.
Yeah.
I want to be that type of person that continues to grow, continues to learn, continues to teach others too.
Absolutely. There's huge reward in teaching. As much as I enjoy gaining the knowledge and the experience, and believe me, it's satisfying still today, every day. I'm like, oh, I figured this out, or there was this problem, and there was a solution. Enormously satisfying. tiny compared to the satisfaction of being able to pass that knowledge. I never, as a young person, I was so fixated on just learning and growing myself. And I don't know where that transitioned. Maybe it was by being a dad, maybe it was by being an employer, maybe it was just collective moments across the experience. And it is insanely satisfying to pass knowledge. And if you don't have a community to pass that knowledge into, we're all just siloed in whatever it is that we do. I don't think that satisfaction could be realized.
Beth and I were just trying to figure that out as well, like when we were young.